There's a few things in this story that don't quite make sense to me. And I feel like this could have been prevented. The beginning of my nightmare started when I saw you. I thought you were playing a joke. I saw you in your green hoodie and face mask. The thing I remember most about you is your eyes. You look possessed and you didn't look human. I think that there are signs that become pretty prevalent that are easily ignored. He was drawing photos. He was watching videos. The teachers are catching him. People are reporting him and the police won't do nothing. Where's the parents? Where's daddy? Where's mama? At this point, it's obvious. You tell me that these parents and all the little people around the officers, you tell me they should not be going to jail. When I tell you I got a story for you guys, I ain't playing. You guys seen the thumbnail. Has anybody heard about a man named Axel Rudakubana? Axel Rudakubana. Listen, chilling story of an 18-year-old child murderer. Oh, we getting into it. Listen. There's a few things in this story that don't quite make sense to me. And I feel like this could have been prevented. This is from Wikipedia. July 29, 2024, a mass stabbing targeting young girls occurred at Heart Space Dance Studio in Moles Cope area of Southport, Merseyside, United Kingdom, in the UK. 17-year-old Axel Rudakubana killed 3 children and injured 10 others at a Taylor Swift themed yoga and dance workshop attended by 26 children. So here you can see the 3 young girls that were murdered by Mr. Axel Rudakubana. 3 young girls. This is from BBC. Elsie Stancombe 7, BB King 6, Alice Da Silva Aguiar 9. There's no L, so I guess Aguiar 9 died. They died. These 3 girls died, right? And there were several other young girls that we'll get into who were injured by this young man, Axel. Okay? This is from BBC. Southport killer Axel Rudakubana has been sentenced to a minimum of 52 years for the sadistic murders of 3 young girls in an attack described as shocking and pure evil. Let's get into the details a little bit. When Mr. Rudakubana moved through the dance studio, according to reports, Rudakubana systematically stabbed these young girls as they sat making friendship bracelets singing along to Taylor Swift songs. So the way he went about the stabbing, they're saying that it was systematic. He had a plan in place. He went in there with an agenda and he knew what he was doing, right? According to them. The footage shown in the courtroom revealed screaming children streaming out of the dance studio on the video that they played in the court. And inside the studio, BB had been subjected to 122 knife wounds. 122 knife wounds on a 6-year-old little girl. While Elsie Dot had 85 stab wounds. It leads you to question, while this person is stabbing someone 122 times, and another person 85 times, that has to take at least a couple minutes, right? It has to take at least a couple minutes to do. No adults around. Nobody was around to stop him. He stabbed these girls up to 200 times total, right? And that's just the 2 girls. He injured like 10 of them. A lot of the other girls were screaming, so everybody was going crazy. They were screaming, and one girl tried to run away. He pulled her back and started stabbing her. And a window cleaner charged up the stairs to find Rudakubana standing over the body of BB, the girl he stabbed 122 times, holding a knife. Police body camera footage, so this is when the police showed up, showed him tackled to the floor as the window cleaner shouted in utter shock. He shouted outright, like he screamed out loud. He shouted in utter shock and horror at the injuries he saw that had been inflicted by the young girl. So he looked down at the young girl who was stabbed 122 times, and it was so graphically disturbing that he shouted, according to reports. That's how bad it was. But he didn't see the girl until the police showed up. Miss Little, which was the teacher of the studio, and one other child were hiding in a locked toilet on a landing outside. So she grabbed a couple girls and went outside and hid in the bathroom. Miss Little later described how she realized that some of the children had not escaped when she heard them begging Rudakubana to stop. Man, imagine being in the closet. You only got a couple girls with you, and you hear all the other little girls that were in that classroom screaming, and they're all under like 10. Maybe like all under like 15, we'll say. All under the age of 15, mostly younger ones under 10, screaming, begging for this young man to stop stabbing them. And you're the teacher in the bathroom with only a couple kids, and you got to hear the rest of the class screaming for their life. They're being killed, murdered. Another child who was 14 years old and lived spoke about her experience in the court. A 14-year-old said she had been asked if she wished to provide a victim personal statement, and this is what she wanted to say. The dance club was full of laughter and excitement all morning with girls full of life. The beginning of my nightmare started when I saw you. So the 14-year-old girl, one of the victims who actually got stabbed, is in court with a written statement while the murderer, this guy, is in court as well, right? So she's speaking to him on this statement here. The beginning of my nightmare started when I saw you. I thought you were playing a joke. I saw you in your green hoodie and face mask. The thing I remember most about you is your eyes. You look possessed and you didn't look human. Interesting stuff. You look possessed and you didn't look human. That's always what we see. That's always what we hear. That's always what we know. And that's actually the detail that gets looked over the most in all these situations. Always. Always. Is that the perpetrator was possessed, right? The perpetrator had these thoughts that were telling him to do things. That always gets overlooked. Always. They mention it, but it's not like the thing that should be most focused on like it should be. You know what I mean? She goes on to say, I watched you stab someone and then I saw you coming for me. It was like slow motion. You stabbed me in the arm and instinctively I turned, and that's when you continue to stab me in the back, although I didn't feel it at the same time, right? The adrenaline's going. All I could hear was the screams. I was so scared of what you were going to do, and I was in a blind panic. I ran out onto the landing, and there was a group of girls huddled, and I began just screaming for the girls to get down the stairs. I remember I was physically pushing them down the stairs to get them out of the building and get them away from you. I knew I was running for my life. I needed to try to get everyone out to safety. That was my first thought. When we were in the car parked, I remember thinking we need to get away from you. And if we didn't, you were not going to stop. I knew from your eyes you wanted to try to kill us all.
This is Axel Rudakubana in the back of a taxi just moments before murdering 3 little girls.
We cash your card, mate.
After the driver asks him how he'd like to pay, he leaves the taxi without paying the fare. After a confrontation, he approaches the Heart Centre in Southport, where he first tries to open a locked door before entering the building. A week before the murders, Rudakubana had tried to return to Range High School, where he'd been excluded 5 years earlier. But he was stopped from making the journey when his father pleaded with a taxi driver not to take him. On the 29th of July 2024, wearing the same hooded sweatshirt and surgical mask he was wearing a week earlier, he made sure to book a taxi after leaving the house. Axel Rudakubana has been jailed for life after admitting to all charges, including murder, attempted murder, and terror-related offences.
This could have been prevented, in my opinion. I think so. You never know. You never really know. I think that there are signs that become pretty prevalent in people that are easily ignored and that kind of tell you, and we've heard from many stories that we've covered before or we've seen before about school shooters. They display many signs before they decide to do this grand murder. I want to point out some of those red flags really quick. Let's get into the red flags that were repeatedly missed throughout his life. They really start back at 13 when obviously we know there's issues that happen way before 13 years of age, right? Up to 13, what happened? We don't quite know. They don't quite have that information yet, or at least I couldn't find the information yet. But we're going to talk about from 13 on. When Axel Rudakubana returned to school after the summer holidays 5 years ago, something had changed. Let me just show you really quick him here at 13. Because you're going to be, oh, well, he still kind of look a little crazy at 13. Even at 13, he still kind of look a little wishy-washy. You know what I mean? He still look a little disturbed at 13 in the eyes. You know what I mean? He looked like a get you right then. So in grade 7 and grade 8, he was fairly unassuming. Nothing that would be red flags. What happened that summer is what the question is. Within a month of the new term, he complained about being racially bullied, right? Within the first month of school, he complained about being racially bullied. Fellow pupils said he started acting up in class and arguing with the teachers and sometimes storming out. In October 2019, the 13-year-old made an anonymous phone call to NSPCC's child line, admitting to having murderous thoughts about the bully. He said he had taken a kitchen knife to school on 10 occasions and asked, "What should I do if I want to kill somebody?" He asked that to the person on the phone. It should have stopped right there. Boom. Nipping in the butt right there. It should have been done. They should have put him, that should have been the flag right there. That was like, this kid is disturbed. He needs help. We're putting him in the psych ward to get him help. That should have been the sign. Within days of his call, Rudakubana was permanently expelled from Range High School and mainstream education altogether. He couldn't go back to mainstream education. They're like, no, we can't trust him. That's nice. He then went to an intervention school, and in the interview at the intervention school, they asked him what he planned to do with the knife, and he said, I plan to use it. He was 13 years old, right? In this new school, this intervention school, which is for people who are like the rejects to school or like, you know, they're suspects, right? You kind of got, you're squinting your eye at them. They go to this school. And in the interview, he even said he planned to kill somebody. He planned to use a knife. He was 13 at the time. 2 months later, just before kids went on their Christmas break, he returned to his original high school, Range High School, armed with a hockey stick, and attacked another kid, breaking the wrist. Lord have mercy. He had to be restrained by the staff, and the head teacher said that Rudakubana had no sense of wrongness of his actions. He didn't feel nothing about it. He just broke the kid's wrist and felt nothing about it. He was just like, according to reports, right? Another red flag. What the? Police later found a knife in his backpack and arrested him on suspicion of assault and carrying a bladed article. He pleaded guilty, earning a criminal record, and undertook a rehab program center. During an IT class at the Acorn, so at the school for rejects, he made comments about mass shootings, right? A teacher looked over his shoulder to see a webpage about a bloodbath at a United States high school and reported it to to the government's anti-radicalism program. So right. So in this school, he was drawing photos. He was watching videos of mass shootings. He was interviewed by counterterrorism officers, but he was not escalated as concerns because he had no firm ideology. Okay, so they get him. They look at his record. They see that he had a knife. They see that he was making threats. They see that he actually went back to the school with a hockey stick and injured somebody, broke a kid's wrist. They see that he's drawing pictures of these weird things. They see that he's looking up videos about mass school shootings. They see all this. And the officers are counterterrorism officers. This is what they do. That's their expertise, supposedly. But they said, no, he has no firm ideology, so we can't charge him. This is where it gets worse. Lord have mercy, it keeps getting worse. As COVID-19 hit, pandemic 2020, the country went into lockdown and Rudakubana sank deeper into the shadows. Spending days at home online, he downloaded a version of an Al-Qaeda training manual 3 times in 2021, later using it to make the deadly poison ricin they found in his bedroom. He downloaded a version of Al-Qaeda training 3 times. Where's the parents at? Where's daddy? Where's mama? Where's brother? He had an older brother as well. Where are they at? Then they don't see that he's weird? Poison from scratch. Nobody's knowing what's going on. At this time, what? He's 15 years old, making poison from scratch. In February, a former pupil reported, because he had posted things on Instagram about a Libyan dictator, Muammar Gaddafi. This time he was not seen in person by the counterterrorism officers, and his case was closed. Lord have mercy. Now he's posting things on Instagram, telling you, warning everybody, look, I'm posting stuff on Instagram. The counterterrorism officers, maybe they was DEI, so maybe they didn't care. Maybe they were just trying to get to lunch. This case is closed. He's not a threat. It don't end there, y'all. 2 months later, he was on Prevent's radar for a 3rd time when a teacher at the Acorn noticed he was researching the 2017 London Bridge attack. Y'all, this is months and months and months. He's doing this research. The teachers are catching him. People are reporting him. And the police won't do nothing. They're not doing nothing. Again, he was not visited in person, and there was no further action. At this point, it's obvious, and nobody's doing nothing about it. In the 6 months from November 2021, officers were called to his home 4 times as his behavior grew more erratic. So he's getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. And this is years. This is years. He's getting worse and worse and worse and worse. On one occasion, after his mother had reported him missing, he was found by police on a bus with a knife. What's going on here? Rudakubana told the officers he wanted to stab someone. He told the officers, y'all. He told them. He told the officers, I want to stab someone. He straight up said it. He told them he wanted to stab someone, so police would seize his phone and delete embarrassing videos which were on social media accounts he could no longer access. Instead of arresting him, which would have been his 2nd arrest for the knife crime, they took him home and told his mother to keep knives out of reach. I'm done. I'm so done. Keep knives out of reach of this little murderer. Weeks later, they were back at Rudakubana's home after he erupted when his father banned him from using a laptop. His parents asked officers to help him cope with him. Parents asked an officers, please help. We need help. He's going crazy. He's acting up. We need help. Help us out. Police referred him each time to a safeguarding teams, but the engagement with them started to slip. In his bedroom, he was making plans for an attack. He had purchased castor beans, funnels, flasks, safety goggles, all on Amazon. Did he have a job? Whose money is he using? Getting them delivered to an unsuspecting neighbor, police believe he was using the Al-Qaeda manual to learn how to kill using a knife. Rudakubana had stopped engaging with mental health support by February 2023. He had not been to school for almost a year and was spending more and more time home and on his tablet, spiraling down horrifying rabbit holes, according to reports. He never hid his dark obsession. Professionals who visited him at home said the Rwanda genocide, which was a mass killing in which both of his parents were caught up, was all he wanted to talk about. All the signs are there. They're just clear there, all of them. Just evident. Nothing was hidden, out in the open, honest, real. They had started to insist on a police officer being present at their meetings. Did that happen? Who knows? But even if it did, they still didn't do nothing. People were clearly worried about him, but either way, he was never taken seriously and no one quite knew what to do with him. So guess what happened? I believe it was, let's look at the timeline. A year later, he ends up at the front of a yoga/dance school for young kids.
This is Axel Rudakubana
with
in
a
the
knife
back of a taxi just moments before murdering 3 little girls.
Are we cash or cards, mate?
After the driver asks him how he'd like to pay, he leaves the taxi without paying the fare. After a confrontation, he approaches the Heart Centre in Southport, where he first tries to open a locked door before entering the building. A week before the murders, Rudakubana had tried to return to Range High School, where he'd been excluded 5 years earlier. But he was stopped from making the journey when his father pleaded with a taxi driver not to take him. On the 29th of July 2024, wearing the same hooded sweatshirt and surgical mask he was wearing a week earlier, he made sure to book a taxi after leaving the house. Axel Rudakubana has been jailed for life after admitting to all charges, including murder, attempted murder, and terror-related offences.
You tell me, right? You tell me that these parents and all the little people around, the officers, you tell me they should not be going to jail. Maybe the officers fire them, make them not able to ever get a job as a police officer. You failed as a police officer, you can't get another job again. Anti-terrorism police officers, you failed and you can't get another job because you're incompetent, horrible. You're not the real deal, you cannot be here again. Get a record, go to the library, get a library job. Because you're horrible. Work at Subway. That's all you can do. You can only get jobs at Subway from now. Sorry. That's what they should do with the cops. Everybody else involved, all these other people, parents, all these things, tell me I'm wrong for saying that. And guess who has to suffer? Guess who has to suffer? The other parents and the other families who were at this dance school minding their own business. They watch or they hear the other girls watch their friends under 10 years old getting slaughtered, stabbed 122 times, stabbed 85 times, stabbed 30 times, stabbed 50 times. They got to watch that. And the parents got to get a call that their child been stabbed to death when they just dropped them off at a dance studio. Tell me that the people involved who knew all this information about Axel Rudakubana should not be in jail. Tell me they shouldn't. Because y'all all be mad at me when I'm saying that parents should be in jail for all this stuff. The kid, according to the reports, if these reports are true, wasn't hiding anything. Not one thing. He was out in the open about everything. He was straight up about everything. He said, I want to kill people. And he went and decided to go in numerous occasions. All those flags were missed. And you guys are mad at me when I want to put the parents in jail. Okay. Cool. But would you have wished the parents were in jail if you were the parents of the young children who were killed? Because if you observe, you can point out these, you can see these things before they see you, literally. You can see these things. You can see the the spirit of people. You can see what they got. You can see the signs before they become obvious. And that can keep you safe, keep you protected.